Hello, welcome back to the ministry. We're picking up on part 3 of this, and we're talking about should you know who your God ordained spouse is. And when it comes down to the warfare, you just really have to know that you're going to be willing to be in it. I remember one day, and I said this to the Lord. I was standing in my living space that I was in at the time, and I said, Lord, if you need for me to pray for him in any particular way, meaning if you need for me to stand for him, if there's a particular way that you need for me to operate, I'm going to need for you to let me know, because I will do that, because I honor the anointing that you gave me to stand for this individual. But you got to let me know what this person is going through so that I can stand in the gap for them for whatever that thing is. Because, see, the thing that you don't understand is in the natural, these individuals, once you start praying for them, the people that are closest to them now see a spotlight on this individual. Meaning, they may not understand they vipers around them, but depending on what kind of state of mind that they are in or desiring to be in their group circle, they won't know that who they're around is not somebody that they should be around. And it's not because the individual that they're dealing with is a wrong person. It's because their heart has not been circumcised before the Lord, which leaves them with an opening that all the enemy has to do is send a tormenting spirit. Because let me tell you something, 9 times out of 10, these women that be doing witchcraft on these men, they being tormented by a spirit that won't let them sleep, a spirit that won't let them what have you, whatever it is. And it's probably attached to a bloodline curse attached to that individual. And because of that, it's like you see in these television shows, when the demon comes to the individual, it says, well, because your family owes this demon this, we have the right to pull on you, so we ain't gonna leave you alone. So whether the individual wants to or not, Jizzy being underneath of Baal, they are being held spiritually hostage, meaning the demonic entity that's operating through them is pretty much saying, oh, no. You may thought that your life belonged to you, but now we need to use you against this individual because we see a beacon over them because they headed back towards God. So we need to use you to do whatever it is that we got to use you for, because you got holes in you. So we going to activate your jealousy, your rebellion, your lust, your what have you, your obsession, your madman spirit, whatever it is that's in you, we're going to activate that because we need to use you to get him back. That means we're going to torment you to have you go to sorcerers to put love spells on this person. We're going to use you. And it's kind of sad because if you go back and look at the word that I did on Hercules, Samson, and Jacob or something like that, I talk about in the cartoon of Hercules, there was a young lady that her soul belonged to, I forget what the person's name was, but she had the recognition that she didn't want to go through what she was going through. But because she didn't see no other way out of that scenario, she did what she did. And in the end of that scenario, she ended up throwing herself on the sword to save him. Some of these individuals, they are counterfeits. They are simply people, and you hear a lot of people say this. These are individuals that simply desire, they were the wrong person. It's not that anything was specifically wrong with them. They just were not set to be with your spouse. But because they've got holes in them, and now you praying for your spouse, the holes that they got, the spirits that are working through them are going to say, oh, no, 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 no. He's going back towards God. Let's pull him back towards us. And you the only one that has the closest association to him. Guess what? We're going to use you. Guess what? Who's going to go and do the spell work? Guess who's going to go and try to do the spiritual love potion, what have you, to try to get him back in our good graces? And oh, you done tried it. Didn't work. Oh, he been being prayed for. Oh, he got a covering over him. Oh, okay. So now I'm going to have to activate you. So then this individual is activated with a spirit of intimidation, where when they can't get what they want, they start intimidating. Trying several times to separate you, trying to go into the spirit realm and sever the connection between you, operating as a dominant spirit over your God-ordained spouse in order to try to scare them through whatever capacity they possibly can in order to keep them in place. Lie, cheat, steal, do whatever. Lie on them. Do something to trap them. Because they know that if they let this person get away from them and get to you, it's a wrap. If you can see in the spirit, meaning if you are anointed by God to see in the spirit, God will reveal this individual's heart, meaning the person that is associated with your God-ordained spouse, with their heart and heart posture. I'm going to tell you something that the Lord did with me. There's certain television shows, and Stephanie Pig also mentioned this in a video a while back. Whenever you are going through certain warfare, what God will do is he may not tell you everything, but he may give you an image of something. For instance, he'll give you an image to show you 3 different individuals, a man and 2 women. But the image, if you know the dynamic of these 3 characters, for instance, he would use my television show from my childhood all the time. And I knew the dynamic of those 3 characters. And when I saw what he showed me, it was very simple that if you didn't know, you wouldn't understand. What he showed me is the man, the one that represented the kingdom wife, and then this other female. But what he did was he showed me the other female that never dressed anything like what the main person that he was supposed to be involved with ever dressed like. She was dressed in that young woman's coat. And I said, something as simple as that let me know, oh, this person is operating in a spirit of imitation. They want to be that person. And in all actuality, when you watch the show, this individual wanted desperately to steal the lifestyle that the other one had, because everyone naturally gravitated towards her. So because she didn't have that connection and that element about herself, she always found herself trying to steal, manipulate, or do whatever it was to get that woman's friends away from her, to get that woman's father figure to turn on her, get that woman's man to turn. She was doing this. So to see those three in an image, I automatically knew, oh, this person is trying to operate in a spirit of in a spirit of imitation of me. And I was like, okay. So you'll notice this element and you'll be able to say, okay, God, what do I need to do? How do I need to pray into this? How do I need to cover this situation? How do I need to get ahead of this before it goes out of proportion? Because the Lord will show you that and say, oh, you're wondering why it's taking so long. This is why. This individual is doing everything desperately to be and put themselves in your shoes. And yeah, it can be painful because you're sitting over here, you sitting there waiting to all my ladies in waiting. I was talking or I wrote a comment back to somebody the other day talking about this, and I was just like, I know it's a timely wait, but you got to understand, when God shows you, when God reveals it to you, you got to sit in the place with the Lord and you got to pray with God and you got to sit and gain understanding. I know we feel redundant as hell going back and forth, praying, fasting, praying. But if we were not in that position, God wouldn't be showing us the revelations that we need in order to pray to either keep that man from going into a trap. It's interesting. I was listening to Both Christ the other day, and she did a word that made me think. And I think you should go and look at it. I can't. What is the name of that word? It's the one with the wolf, the black wolf on the front, and it's called The Prophet Cried, or The Prophet Cried Wolf, or something like that. So go and look at that, because it puts you in the right heart space and head space to understand. Yes, it gets tiring to pray for these men on occasion, because when you know you've been doing it, and I'm even be honest with you right here, there be times that I be like, how long we been doing this, Lord? Did this person not get a level of spiritual maturity to recognize that's an issue that they probably shouldn't keep walking back into? But sometimes you got to realize that this individual is dealing with witchcraft. This person is dealing with, one minute they get out of a situation and somebody trying to pull them back. Then they also got, outside all this stuff going on with this, they still got their life and their career that they trying to keep in order. So it's that element that sometimes, not to say that they're lazy to pay attention to it, that they just get tired just like you get tired. And they don't be paying attention like that. Sometimes they do. And then in their weakness of not staying in the word, not praying, and it was so interesting the other day, Jolene Whitaker was making a point of saying that the only thing that's going to strengthen these men or these people, she was talking about people in general, but it's a specific element that these men got to get into a level of prayer. God will take them out of the miry pit that they are in. He will. But they have to recognize it's not in their will. that he's going to do it. It's in God's will he's going to do it, and he's going to remove those issues. He's going to shift those situations. But in some cases, because depending on the type of heart that this individual has, they might want to save that individual. And God's saying, I've given this individual chance after chance. I told them to stop doing witchcraft against you. I told them to stop doing this against you. I told them to stop doing that against you. And every time your wife prayed for you, she prayed for that individual too, to stop doing what they were doing. So I'm getting frustrated. And God, when God is a jealous God, and God's anger can no longer be sated, guess what? He's going to make a decision. And it's going to look like to everybody else, oh my God, God was being harsh by taking that person and doing that to them, or allowing this to happen to this individual, or them to be pulled out of this scenario, or it to be snatched so hard, or God forbid. Because we be out here praying mercy for these individuals, but when God gets sick and tired, he turn around and say to this individual, oh, I'm shaking you all the way out of here. We're talking about a God that washed everybody off of the face of this earth and only left Noah and his family. So when somebody being insubordinate because they being tormented by whatever spirit, you think that he gonna come back over to him and be like, look, I understand you being tormented by them demons over there. I understand that. But I asked you once. I asked you twice. Even his wife done prayed for you by 17 times to release and let go of what does not belong to you. And you still over here operating in this spirit. Okay? They've tried to pray mercy for you. But just like with the Abigail situation, the ball still got knocked off by God, because Abigail went forth before the Lord and prayed. Abigail went and brought sacrifices to David. Abigail did what she did. But when God gets sick and tired, he gets sick and tired. And there are people that probably gonna hear this and have heard me say this in several messages and think that I'm thinking that I want this individual taken. I'm the one that will sit on the floor and pray, hitting the floor, to say, I know that this person being taken out is going to hurt my God ordained spouse if they are taken off this earth. So I'm going to pray for this individual. People don't understand the nights that I have sat before the Lord and prayed for this or those individuals. Okay? But just like it says in Jeremiah 11:14, God's going to stop listening to your prayers for that individual, because my first prayer position for these individuals was that they would release and relinquish, let go, and start to go on a journey with the Lord so that God could send them their ordained spouses. That has always been my prayer. So don't ever look at me like I'm the one. But I must say, and must repeat, that when God gets sick and tired of tomfoolery, he gonna get sick and tired and he gonna take the situation out. Period. Either you gonna get it or you're not gonna get it. It is what it is. Hosea 2 is real. Am I out here gleefully glad if something like that? No. If you are, then you don't. If you are actually happy something happens to these individuals, I need you to go sit before the Lord and get convicted and check your heart posture, because Ain't nobody out here is trying to be happy that these people are going to get taken out, because that was a child of God at one point. Because when that person was sent to this earth, they were meant to be God's child. What they chose to do and what curses that were put on them through family, friends, lineages, the people that raised them, all kinds of foolishness that led them to becoming the individual and operating in the heart posture that they were operating in. It is what it is. So you pray for those individuals. If you pray, you have to be prepared to see in the spirit all that your God ordained spouse is doing and going through. If you're not praying, it's going to set you up to push you away and stop praying. Ever notice you be in a prayer mode and you just be praying and praying and you praying and getting certain things broken off, and then all of a sudden you might have a dream or you might have something, and it may get that moment and you just get tired and you be like, God, I've been going through this. Can't Is this working? What am I doing? Why am I still here? What is this? And it's not to say that you don't believe that your prayers are working. You're sitting there saying, why is it that I'm still battling this confusion? That I pray we get it down to a point that this individual is no longer an issue. And the second I stop praying, it's like, run right back. Somebody else come in. A new opponent pop up that has the same spirit as the last one. Because as we know in that one scripture, talk about the fact that the enemy, you will see that his house has been swept clean and send 7 others worse than he was. Matter of fact, I did one video where I was talking about that there would be 7 women sent. Worse than the last one. Why? Because the enemy is always up to something. And if your God ordained spouse isn't spiritually alert nor aware, guess what? He gonna fall for it. So once you know, you're going to see every area that they need work on, and you're going to have to stand in the gap. You have to stand in the gap. But God, I'm tired. But God, yeah, that means you need to fast even harder. I remember one time I got shown some information in the spirit, and I got so frustrated. I went in that bathroom and I prayed so hard. And then I came out and it was like I was just about to head into a consecration for a series of days. And when I tell you, I went in at the beginning of that thing. When I came out, the revelation that was sent to me in relation to that situation showed me, oh yeah, they spiritually got it. When I tell you this person gave me a blow by blow revelation, I was like, oh, okay. Because I know my prayers work. So when you notice that you're feeling that level of apathy, that level of, I don't want to pray for this person no more. Not that you don't want to pray, but it's that element of you've been praying. You've been going through this. As soon as you stop, then another witchcraft attack hit, and you gotta pray even harder. Then you notice that something's coming against them in this. You don't. If you ain't ready for this, sweetie, I suggest don't pray for God today's spouse. Don't pray to know who this individual is, because you're going to have to cover them. And when you get tired of covering them, you're going to have to cover them 2 times harder. Because that's the moment when the enemy is desperately desiring to take them out. At that point, let me tell you something. Somebody went through. It's a young woman. Her name is Elise. She was talking about, it was a scenario that she had been through. And when she went through her situation, the Lord told her, I'm going to need you to consecrate for 7 days. On nothing. Some of y'all would have had a fit if you thought that you had to consecrate on nothing for 7 days. No water, no food, no nothing. But she had to do it because there was a specific attack that was about to hit that man, that had she not sat in that space at that time and stayed in prayer over that individual, God only knows what the attack would have transpired to be. Because this particular attack was an attempt to take the individual out. There have been times that I've been in spaces with the Lord, and the Lord will show me this in front of me, show me this in front of me, have me have a dream about this, have me have something else in relation to that, have me see something else, and I'm sitting up there, oh my God, what in the world? I remember one day I had something recently happen, and this was a matter of weeks ago, and my chest started acting up like my heart was about to bust. And I said, what the world is going on? Every time I looked up, it was either the clock or something I was looking at. 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. I'm saying, man, what's going on? What's the emergency? Oh my God. Every time I eat, my heart's beating out my chest, and something going wrong. Something going 343. He's in distress. What's going on? What's going on? So when God show you, no, don't get lackadaisical, because you could end up in something like that trying to figure out what in the world's going on. And the funny thing about it was I had already been praying. I was praying the week before that. That was an attack that came against him because I was praying. Oh, you think that don't happen? There are some attacks that come to hit that individual because you're praying. There are other attacks that hit to try to get them because you're not praying. So you got to cover them backwards and forwards. So when I tell you, you've got to cover that scenario, you have to cover the scenario. Because you're protecting them from enemy attack so they won't get caught up in heavy warfare that was being sent, because the enemy knows that you know what's going on and has now decided to send an attack on them. Is it an invasion of privacy? I don't think it's an invasion of privacy if what you're finding out is protecting their life. Besides, it's only an invasion of privacy if you know everything. I don't know anything that's going on. All I know is what's necessary for me to know. And I don't know direct information. I know in the way the Lord desires to reveal certain things to me, how this is going down. I don't know what is going down. I haven't the slightest idea. But what I know is the ways in which the Lord desires to reveal information that is highlighted to me allots me the ability with that information to then go into prayer for this individual. And within that time frame, I'm usually given some form of confirmation. What you prayed, what you did, how you stood, that was what was necessary, because it broke. I was like, good, fine. That was all I needed to know. I don't actually know exactly what's going on. I'm given the framework of what I need to pray for, and that's all I do. To the person that God is allowing you to see into their life, if they didn't know or didn't agree, God didn't let them understand it. They may feel a way about the fact that they can sense that you have an eye and or ear spiritually to understand the situation. But it's not a scenario where you just sitting there like them monitoring spirits that's sitting there like, oh, what you doing? What you doing? Is she That's what they're monitoring spirit. You just taking the information God give you. Okay, God, that's what you gave me. All right, I'm gonna take this in prayer and I'm gonna do what I need to do, and we're gonna get this taken care of. That's it. I'm sorry. You think I'm sitting here 24/7, 365 worried about this man? Love him. Love you. But I got things that God has given me assignments to do. I ain't got time to be sitting here all day. I have my prayer time. I hit hard, and then I go back and do what I got to do. Because I got assignments too. But he is part of my assignment. Just because that's what you hear me talking about. But if you ever notice, you get about an hour long amount of content per day. Yeah. But there are 24 hours in the day. Between 6 and 8 of those, I'm asleep. So the rest of that time, guess what? God done got another assignment that I'm working on. I ain't all up in this all day long. That's what you hear me talking about. But understand that there are other things God has me working on. You got to understand that you are a wife and you are praying for your husband. You are no longer a single individual once you have been given this information. People do not understand that. So why, I have to ask this, would you invite confusion that once you know this information, you yourself would entertain counterfeits? We never particularly ask for the amount of insight that we are given in relation to these people. Okay, God, you say pray for them. Cool, great. But there's certain things that the Lord will show you. Sometimes he'll give you a dream of it. Sometimes he'll give you a direct open space, and you'll be like, God, what was that? And God is like, so you know how to focus your energy where it's needed, hit hard in your prayer time, and then you are not tripped up by these counterfeit things, assignments, and situations that are coming towards you. So that we may not have known what was going on, but there's a level of consistency that we're supposed to pray at. You have to understand what consistency, what frequency that you have to pray at, and the fact that the warfare is going to come at a specific time, especially during certain times of the year, and you must be aware of that. I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about that even further on the next one.